Chapter 1 The Boy Who Alive. Mr. and Mr. Doris of Number 4's Pirates Drive were proud to say that were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. They were the last people you defess to be lovers in everything's strengths and mysteries, because they just didn't hold with such nonsense. Mr. Deuces was the director of the firms called Journey, which made those. He was a big, thrifty man with headaches and needs. Although he did have a very straight moustache, Mr. Deuce was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck, which come in very useful, and he spent so much of her time trekking over gardens, friends, spraying on the neighbors. As Durings has a small son called Dudas, and in their offspring there was no finer boy anyway. Those Dudas had everything they wanted, but they also had a secret, and their greater fears have that someone who discovers it. They didn't think they could bear it if anyone found out about the Potters, Miss Potter and Mr. Lee's sister. But they didn't have sister, because the sister and her good-for-nothing husbands were unusually as it was possible to be. The Deuces suddenly to think what the neighbors would say if the Potter arrived in the streets. The Deuces knew that Potter had a small son too, but they had never seen him. This boy was another good reason for keeping the Potter away. They didn't want Deuces mixing with a child like that. When Mr. and Mr. Dooley walked out on the Great Tuesdays on the story start, there was nothing about the cloudy sky outside the sausage that strange and mysterious things would soon be happenings all around the country. Mr. Dudley's hems as he put out his most boring ties for walks, and Mr. Dudley sprawled away happy as his wings screams Dudley into her high chair. None of them nods a large tower's old footers past the window, and 9:30, Mr. Dudley picked up his briefcase, picked Mr. Dooley on the cheeks, and tried to kiss Dudley goodbye, but missed, because Dudley was now having a tolerance and throwing her serious at the word literature. Through Mr. Dudley as he left the house, he got into his car and backed out the number 4 drivings. It was on the corner of the street that announced the first sign of something particular. A cat read a map. For a second, Miss Dudley didn't realize that he had seen. Then he jacked his hands off pre-drive, but wasn't a match instantly. What would he have been thinking of? It might just have been a trick of the light. Mr. Dudley blinked and started at the cat. He started back as Mr. Dudley drove around the corner and up the road. He was watching the cat in the mirror. It now was riding the signs and said "Preface Drive." No, looking at the sign, cat couldn't read map and sign. Mr. Dudley gave himself a little shake and put the cat out of his mind. He was driving towards towns he chose of nothing expend a large orders of drive he was hoping to get that day. But on the edge of town, drive was driven out of her mind. by something else. As he sat in another morning traffic jams, he couldn't help noticing that there seems to be a lot of strangers dressed people about. People in clothes. Mr. Douglas couldn't bear people who were dressed in funny clothes. He get tips you saw on drums people's his finger of the stringing swells, and his eyes fell on a tiny of this was standing quite close by. There was thinking clubbers of them weren't young at all. Why, that man had to be older than he was, and wearing emerald green clothes. The neighbors of silly stunts. These people were obviously collecting for something. Yes, that would be it. The traffic smoothed off, and a few minutes later, Mr. Douglas arrived in the Corning's car park. His mind back on drive. Mr. Douglas always sat with his back of the window in his office of the nice rooms. If it hadn't, he might have found it harder so content tracks on drive that mornings. He didn't see the old solvings past the broad daylight, through people down in the street digs. Their points and jays open mouths as old after old spread overheads. Most of them had never seen an old, even a nice time. Mr. Douglas, however, had a perfectly normal old free mornings. He yet at 5 different people. He made several important telephone calls and shot a bit more. He was on the very good mood until lunchtime, when he threw he was squeezed his legs and walked across the rocks to buy himself a bun from a baker opposite. He was forgotten all about the people in clothes until he passed a group of them next to the baker. His eyes danced angrous as he passed. He didn't know why, but they made him a nuisance. This lot was pretty exactly too, and he couldn't see a single collecting things. It was on this way bags past them, including a large donuts in the bags. That he caught a few words of what they were saying. The porter. That's right. What's her son? Her. Yes, her son, Harry. Mr. Douglas stopped ahead. Fear blocked him. He looked back in the whisperings as he wanted to say something to them, but thought better of it. He dashed back across the roads, hurried up to his office, snapped his secretary's notes to describe him, seized his telephone, and almost finished telling his home's number when he changing his mind. He put the reverse bats down and broke his mustache, thinking, no, he was beginning to think. Potter wasn't such another name. He was sure there would come a lot of people called Potter, and he was son called Harry. Come to think of it, he wasn't even sure his neighbors was called Harry. He never even seen the boys. He might have been Havers or Hartouts. There was no point to worry Mr. Douglas. He was always to get so upset at any mentions of her sister. She didn't blind her if he had a sister like that, but all the same those people in clothes. He found a lot harder to concentrate on dress at that afternoon. Then when he left the building at 5 o'clock, he was still so worried about that he walking crashed into someone just outside the door. Sorry, he grunted, as a tiny old man sprang and almost fell. It was a few seconds before Mr. Douglas realized that his man was wearing whirling clocks. He didn't seem that so upset and begins almost knocked in the ground. On that contest, he split in two.